Oh my what, it's a morning show. Welcome back once again. It's another Sunday. Thank you everyone for joining us live, and thank you Jason for being here. How's it going, man? How's your week?
It was a pretty good week. We'll get into that, but yeah, I'm doing good. How are you, man?
Pretty good. It's kind of weird when you think about it. Like, if you have a good week, maybe you didn't have a lot of stuff going on. I feel like the good stuff's usually bad. But anyway, before we get into that,
What? The good stuff's usually bad?
no, like the good story stuff, the stuff to talk about is usually like because something bad happened.
Yeah.
But once
for
again,
sure.
thanks again for watching, for coming back again on Sundays. And don't forget, we're on YouTube now. All the episodes are on YouTube, I think, except the first two. I can't remember. But all the video versions of this stuff that we're recording is on YouTube. We're on Instagram. Man, I just woke up, okay?
Spotify, iTunes,
Spotify,
pretty
iTunes,
much
yes,
it.
thank you. Help me out. You guys know the drill. All that stuff. But we also, sometimes we just need coffee. So what's brew? What you drinking?
So I've been slacking as far as like new. I think we've both been slacking.
Yeah, there's only so much coffee we can keep buying.
For sure. And I haven't like been drinking a lot of coffee lately, but the same place as last week. I went to Bia's this morning. Bia's Cafe Mariano, which is over here on Addison and Narragansett. So I got my cafe con leche, and I got a Cuban sandwich as well, which I ate half of. But
that sounds so good.
It was pretty good. I'm gonna save the other half, but yeah.
You're eating a Cuban sandwich now? You didn't have any breakfast? I'm weird.
I ate just half a sandwich. That was my breakfast.
This is funny because I didn't even think about it, but this is how we riff. So I'm the type of person that when you say breakfast, it's got to be breakfast food. Breakfast food to me is eggs, bacon, cereals, pancakes, waffles, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I can't. If we're hanging out, and we wake up or whatever, and you say here's a sandwich, I'd be like, what? Unless it's an egg sandwich.
It has cheese and ham is known as a breakfast meat.
That's true, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. How do you feel? Like, to you, it's whatever you get up in the morning, that's fine?
No, I enjoy breakfast a lot, so.
Me too,
usually when I have breakfast, it's a breakfast item.
Right.
Usually, I make a lot of breakfast sandwiches lately, which are delicious. They've been delicious.
I like making my own, my own style of Egg McMuffin,
Yeah. Yeah, I do like a bacon, egg, and cheese, sunny side up egg. It's really good.
It's a good combo. I would say, and I also say, people always give me shit for saying, oh, I'm having breakfast when it's 3 in the afternoon, and they're like, no, that's lunch, and I'm like, no, it's breakfast because I haven't had anything else at all. And it's not a time thing. It's this is the first meal of the day for me, so it's breakfast. I think I would know what I'm eating. So you mentioned
Who are you arguing with?
I don't know. There's a lot of people that just kind of just make side comments, and I just go off into it. Also, I was going to say, I know this week, I think on Tuesday, dropped the friend off at the airport, and the way back, I decided to get McDonald's. McDonald's is just one of those guilty pleasures sort of thing. I shouldn't be eating this shit, but
I love McDonald's.
It's still so good. It's and I don't abuse that. I'm there all the time or whatever, but I love their breakfast, no matter what. I've never been one to really care for anything else that they make, chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets, I could eat a shit ton of them. I shouldn't,
pretty good.
But breakfast is where it's at. Even from just the basic Egg McMuffin. It also doesn't really taste all that great. I think it's just conditioning from being a kid of always eating it. But I really love their McGriddles. Their little pancake sandwiched egg and cheese and bacon. I just love those. Those are so good. And then the hash browns.
Yeah, delicious.
I try making them at home. First of all, it takes forever. It doesn't take forever, but I just like to have it ready to go. I've also bought
dry them. You gotta dry the fucking potatoes really well, or they're not gonna crisp up. It just seems
It's very soggy. I don't go that far to make them like that. I would probably buy pre-cut or whatever. But even then, I've gotten the ones that are you just pop them in the toaster. They're not bad actually, but they'd have no flavor. You have to really season them, and I think whatever McDonald's does to theirs, adding the crack and other stuff is pretty good. So I had some of that, but there's been a few places that are really we're just gonna talk about breakfast right now because I'm really hungry. I know you mentioned that place. Two of my favorite spots now. One of my favorite spots is the place that I show a lot. If you guys watch my Instagram, which is Abaddon_arcade, I like to go to this place in we call it Frogtown.
Okay.
And it's just right out. It's all L.A. County area, but it's on the other side of the highway, the freeway. And it's a bike shop also, and it's a cafe. It's called Spoke Bicycle Cafe, and they service your bikes, and they're really good with the bikes. They're really cool. Like, they don't try to like rip you off or whatever. Like if it's something so easy, they're just like, you could do it yourself. Not in a way like they're trying to be elitist or anything like that. Like, fix it yourself. They're just trying to help you learn, and also telling you like, you don't have to spend money. You could just all you have to do is this, or here's a part. It's like this much. You could do it yourself, or we could do it, obviously. And that's cool about them. But they also serve food. And you'd think that just like little roadside bike cafe just has like whatever coffee or whatever food. No, this is like one of the top places for me to go to eat. And I like taking people there. So like if you come or anybody comes, because walking along the river is really nice, and then stopping there to eat or just to drink. They got good coffee. One of the coffees that I buy that's roasted by a local guy, he supplies them the coffee, and it's like really good. But one of my favorite things to eat there, I think most of the time the only thing I do eat there is their breakfast. It's called the breakfast bun. And oh man, it's like a brioche.
You are hungry.
Bun, and it's got like the eggs are so like just right, like runny, and the cheese, and they have like this aioli chipotle sauce, and then they give you like, you could either have waffle fries or like the roasted potatoes, the small ones. They're all so good. It's just like, I should have got that yesterday. I was there yesterday, but I just said like, no, we're not gonna eat out. Yeah, and then the other place is Go Get 'em Tiger, which is a coffee shop, and which is weird too, because I never expected a coffee shop to like have food. They have a kitchen, and I just thought like, why do they have a kitchen here? Like, what can a coffee shop do? Like, how could they like that? Just stick to coffee, man. And it's like, no, and it's like their food is also really good. Their burger is amazing, but they do like this breakfast. It's kind of like a sandwich, but it's using in like kind of like pita breadish stuff. It's not pita bread, but it's like that kind of bread. And they also have like this roasted pepper aioli with it's like a sausage patty and egg and cheese. And it's just like, every time I go there, I have to get one of those. But
Nice.
How many other places do you like to go?
Yeah, there's actually a place I used to go to a lot, Emerald City Coffee. I think I posted about it. There's one, I mean, I know there's a few in Chicago, but there's one off the Sheridan Red Line stop. I would go there. They have this quick fix that I like to get. It's just basically espresso and some chocolate syrup and milk. So kind of like a mocha, like an iced mocha. But I always get that. I get a double quick fix. Because it's usually, the quick fix is usually tiny, so I just get a double. So it's just like a regular drink. And they have really good, I haven't really tried their sandwiches, but they have these breakfast tacos that I like. So you get like either with bacon or like bacon, egg, and cheese, or like beans, egg, and cheese, or potato. And then they have a super taco that combines all three. Yeah, it's really good.
Big taco.
Yeah. I usually just get the bacon one because the other one's kind of massive. But I stopped by that place when I was out working this week. I forgot what day, earlier in the week. But yeah, as far as my week, I mean, work's been kind of slow. Not like, I don't know, I've been lacking motivation this week as far as putting in like crazy amount of hours like I usually do. I still worked like every day except for like one day. But
it's just the amount of time you're actually working is a lot less.
Yeah, and like some of the night shifts, it just wasn't as busy. I guess it makes sense because like the city's opening up. So a lot, there's a lot of people, a lot of patios that are opening.
People.
Yeah, and like my family has gone. Like there's a new.
They have gone
restaurant.
out.
Well, there's a restaurant like like a few blocks from our house that they checked out. That's supposed to be really nice, but it's like I don't think we should be doing that yet.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. It's like, do what you got to do. But I think it's a little premature, to be honest. But we'll see if it backfires or not. It's backfired in other states, obviously, right?
Yeah, of course. It's insane, especially like I feel like some places just aren't enforcing the whole wearing the mask before you get there. There's just too many people crowding around. I understand you have to wear a mask to not wear a mask to eat. Obviously, you can't be wearing it there. But I feel like some restaurants are still just letting not crowd, but like filling them up. They say that
I feel like there should be a capacity, right? There should be some type of thing.
Yeah, they're still taking on more people than they should, and especially like I'm not familiar with going out to eat here, especially in terms of groups, especially or even like breakfast. Weekend or Sunday morning breakfast was very common back home in Chicago. We would always go out to
Yeah.
eat. The family would go to church, and then we would go out to eat. And just doing that is a whole process because everywhere you go is just super busy. Everyone wants breakfast on Sunday mornings, and I know what those crowds look like, and I've been seeing that a lot everywhere. It's just kind of like, dude, don't go out. It's like, I don't know. It's still hard to believe that this whole thing is still as serious. I mean, we're seeing it from the news, and the doctors are saying it is. But part of me still wants to be like, dude, it's just the flu. Who cares? You'll get over it. And then the other part's like, but if you get it, you'll die. And yeah, so it's like, obviously we don't want any of that. So I mean, I've always lived a very isolated lifestyle. I don't really go out. I mean, I do go out, but I don't go out in terms of like being in a lot of crowds. It's just kind of more of an anxiety thing for me at the same time. Like, it took me a long time for me to get a Disney pass to go to Disney, and now I can't, because even though they're saying they're going to open up soon, I believe in July. My friend and I were talking about this, and he's a big Disney fan. He's like one of those members that has a membership in both the U.S. locations. Like, he can go anytime. Like, if he flies to Florida, he can get in. He has like that kind of pass. I have like a one tier down below the one out here, so it's everything except actually maybe one or two tiers below, because I still have some blackout dates. Plus, and I don't have parking. Like, the next one up, you get parking, which is great because parking usually costs like $20 on top of entrance or whatever. But I only really got to use it for a couple of months last year when I got it around the time Galaxy's Edge opened up, and I said I'm gonna come here every week because I love this place. I don't even have to go on the rides. I just want to chill in the Star Wars land.
Yeah, and I still want to check that out for sure. I've never been to like Harry Potter World. Yeah. Which kind of J.K. Rowling's kind of ruining Harry Potter for me.
I have no idea what
she's awful.
This. I mean, I don't know, and you guys might know already too. Can you explain to me what is it that exactly happened? She said something right on Twitter. Is she just talking shit about like?
Yeah, I'm kind of out of my element as far as that's concerned. I guess she's a turf. It's like she has a lot of prejudice towards like trans people and whatnot. And so, I mean, okay. she's said things in the past, but then she was responding to doing some tweet and responding to someone and accidentally copy and pasted like a conversation of like an argument she was having regarding like trans people and whatnot. So, yeah, she's a shitty person. And so it's kind of ruined Harry Potter for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with all this stuff is obviously there's always people in history that are obviously much worse than we know them, but the stuff that they create is really good. We know this about a lot of famous artists, Picasso, Gauguin, and all those guys, because I'm an artist, obviously, and I follow a lot of those things, or a lot of those people, and it's just like, when you really look into their lives, they're not great people. And I'm not saying like that's a reason to excuse them for their shit. Like, they should definitely be taken down or whatever. But I'm not gonna. At the same, and it sucks because I understand people will be like, cancel Harry Potter or cancel this and all that. It's kind of hard when you're already kind of gotten so attached to something, especially for me when it comes to art. It's just like the pain that this woman that he painted she had to go through in order for him to make this piece of art and make thousands and millions of dollars or whatever. I mean, he might have not made that money at the time, but it's hard, right? Because it's like it's a really good piece of art, and then they say this or they do something. Stuff like that she's doing. Harry Potter is never. I do like the series, but it's never been something like if you came at me with Lord of the Rings, like if Tolkien ended up doing something like that, I'd be like, what? Like, no, I don't take that away from me, or Star Wars even. But yeah, I mean, I can understand why people would feel like that, especially because the communities that get attached to these type of books and series is the outcasts, the outsiders, right? They want something that they feel related to. So that's too bad.
Yeah, it sucks for sure.
Also, have you guys ever have any comments or not comments, but what would you say? Suggestions of food places. He's in Chicago and I'm in LA. So if you're in either of those places or even in wherever you are, if you want to mention a good breakfast joint or whatever, feel free to just write it in the comments. We're trying to look at them as they're happening, and that's cool. Because we can address them as we have time to check it out.
Yeah.
Nothing else has happened to me really this week that I can remember. It kind of went by really fast. It's just a lot of work, and this is what I mean by like when you have a good week or a decent week, nothing interesting really happens, nothing
Mm-hmm.
worthwhile to talk about. I finally got to ride my bike again after like 2 weeks because I wasn't available, and it's kind of hard now that I have my job too. It's like I could ride it during the week, but um, around the neighborhood it's kind of boring. You know, LA
Yeah.
isn't boring, but around here there's not much. It's just you're just riding around. I like to take it and just go out to like places. So like, excuse me again. Like yesterday, I went to like I said, to the river because I really wanted
Mm-hmm.
to go out there. One of the breweries that I follow just released some new beer styles that I really wanted to try. So I went all the way out there, hung out at the river at the cafe that I was telling you about, and just kind of just chilled. I just needed to be out there. I think somebody was telling me
Yeah.
like we're having a good day. Like yeah, I just wanted to be free, like not tied down like you have it like a schedule or anything. It's just like
For
I'll
sure.
go do this or maybe I'll go do that. So it felt good to do that again because even during the week, like after work, it's not dark. Obviously the days are getting longer again because of the summer, but it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of nice to just be able to just kind of take off and just go do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually on my bike this week a little bit. Like I went out and got my bike from my parents, and then I decided to deliver with it, and I shouldn't have because it's not ready. It's still not ready. I need a bike rack.
Oh,
I
I
just
see.
need to.
Mhm.
I think today I'm just gonna go to a bike shop and just
You need
buy
to
one
you need
from
to
them.
you need to outfit it and get it ready
Yeah,
for out.
but I tried to deliver anyway,
Hmm.
uh, which sucked because like I was in, if you're familiar with Chicago, I was in Wicker Park, and then that took me to like Chicago and Ashland area, and
Hmm.
then from there it took me to the West Loop, and
Hmm.
then from the West Loop it took me to 21st. So it's like, oh my God, like when you bike deliver, it's gonna take you all over the city, and you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
control that obviously.
Oh, you can't even
But
put like I can't bike that far or
no,
like
well, I
my
mean,
my
they
radius
cap
is
it at a certain thing. I think it's like
yeah
3 miles, so it's like 3 miles a lot. So,
yeah.
but it's good because you could rack up a trip. So like, I want to get back on the bike. I just need to get it ready. But the last one that I was doing when I was going to that place on 21st, uh, I'm riding my bike and I picked up some Chipotle.
Hmm.
I had a burrito, but I had it in my bag. That's what I was delivering. So I'm riding my bike and the bag, because I'm holding it in one hand and just steering with the other, and
Oh
the
no.
bag, which is not, it's not hard to control, but it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So like the wind caught the bag, and the bag got stuck in my back wheel.
Oh shit.
The bag gets stuck, and I didn't panic at first, but then I'm like, okay, let me slow down because it's clearly stuck in the wheel.
Right, you're not gonna be able to move.
Yeah, so like I hit the brake and I'm losing control of the bike. I'm like, I wasn't going fast. There was
Right.
nobody on the street. Luckily, I was like on this street that was parallel to the highway, so there was no one there. But so I bail off the bike just so I don't fall, and the bike like hits a parked car,
Uh-huh.
and there's a lady in the parked car. There was a lady in there, so I'm like, I fall off, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry about that, and she's like, sorry about that. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, the thing got stuck in my, and I'm like, the bag got stuck in my wheel, and the bag is like still like, you know,
Lodged in there.
lodged in there. So I'm like, fuck, man, I hope the burrito's okay.
She's like,
So,
the
so,
burrito, what about my car?
but yeah, she like begins to get out of the car,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, I'm picking up my bike, and I'm like, yeah, I don't see any damage, and she just goes to the back seat and like opens her back door and like kind of she sees that there's no damage, so she's like, all right, you're fine, you could go ahead. And then when I walked away, she was like, "Oh, how are you doing? Are you okay?" She asked me. So like, obviously, she was really pissed in the moment because I could have fucked up her car. Luckily,
Right,
I didn't because I would have had to probably pay for that.
right.
Uh, but yeah, and then I'm like, I need to get off this bike. So I ended up still delivering that day. Like I went back to Wicker Park just to get
Yeah.
back in the area, and I did a few more, and then went home. But I haven't been on it since. But
You have your helmet on, right?
yeah, of course, yeah, I got my 1,000. I got a comment on it too. I was at a Gorilla Sushi, and there's a lady like, "Oh, nice helmet, thank you." And then yesterday I went out. I really was pissed at myself. Yesterday I went out and like I went to Target to return some stuff that I bought, and I returned the jacket just because I realized I didn't like the jacket. I looked very broy. I felt yesterday because I
Mhm.
got these new white Adidas shoes,
Oh,
and I'm
super,
like,
bro.
it was that with like regular colored denim, like the light blue. and then like a zip up jacket, and I'm like, this is not my look. So I went and returned the jacket, but I didn't get another one. Like I wanted to get a hoodie or something. They didn't have my size. So like it was cold outside, so I went to Army Surplus because I was at the one by it's in Wicker Park now because I think they closed the one in Lakeview. But so I went there to like buy a hoodie, and I bought like a jacket for like $50 something, and then I realized I didn't like the jacket, and it kept like sliding off. Like you know how you carry your book bag?
Yeah.
The left strap kept sliding off because the material was like
it's probably wax.
It's like a windbreaker jacket, it kept falling off. So I called and I'm like, hey, I just bought the jacket. They tore off the tags because they knew I wanted to wear it because it was cold. I told them like, yeah, I'm freezing my ass off. So I go and return it, and I get a hoodie. I spent like $70 something on a fucking hoodie. It was a nice hoodie. It was a Brock. It's a London brand, Broxton or something, BRXTN.
Oh yeah, Brixton.
Yeah, so like it's a really nice hoodie, but I'm like, I spent $75 on a hoodie. So I have it right here. I'm gonna call them later and be like, hey, look, I'm hoping to get my money back, but if I can't get my money back, give me store credit, because there was a lot of other stuff they had. They had Vans and shoes, and there's I want to get the black one, so I'm hoping they'll just give me store credit. Because like all day yesterday, I was pissed at myself for spending that much money on a hoodie.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah.
So, but that's really it for my week. It's kind of premature. Not really. Today. For tomorrow, right. Hooray for me. 3 months sobriety. So
cool.
No drugs and alcohol.
Congrats. So. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
I feel
so,
like.
I mean, go ahead.
I feel like I don't know why. Like, there's sometimes when I drink something, and I just feel like shit. And it's like beer. I think it's the beer that's doing it. I don't know if it's anything to do with like the gluten thing or what. Like I get a headache immediately almost, depending on what it is. And they're not even strong beers. At first I thought it was like I gotta be easy on the ABV, but at the same time, like I'm like, well, I just ate a bunch of food and I just had this beer, and like, why am I still feeling like this? And I don't know if it's allergies or what. And it's just like today I woke up again still with a headache. And last night, I had like a kind of like an anxiety scare because my nose started bleeding. Like I said, I have issues with my nose because of surgery.
Yeah.
And I've gone to blow my nose because I was really stuffed up from riding around and just all the allergy stuff. And I was like bleeding, and I'm just like, oh my God, I hope it stops. It's not stopping. Is it stopping? These questions kept going around. Like, am I going to go to the doctor? I know my body's getting super overheated. And like, no, don't get hot because then your blood pressure is going to rise, and that makes it harder for the blood to stop. And yeah, I was freaking out. I was calling my friend. I was like, hey, or, texting him like, my sister's not here. Obviously, my friend's not even here in this area either. But I was just saying, like, normally I would just tell my sister if something had gone down, I'd be like, I need you to take me to the hospital or something like that. But I don't want to go to the hospital. This was like years ago when this happened. So I don't even know if I can. I could probably still go to that hospital, but now I have better insurance. So I probably want to go to the fancy, like the white neighborhood hospital. just in case to get the better care. But yeah, it was freaking me out, and it just kind of reminded me still, like saying like you still have this issue, like that's not completely healed or fixed. There's always gonna be complications that arise from it. So I don't know. I mean, sooner or later I'm gonna have to figure out to get that really fixed or something, because it's not a way to live. I mean, luckily, like I've had a pretty good time, like the past couple years since I've had the surgery. I've been able to do a lot of stuff. The fact that I've been able to go out and ride my bike, like 8-10 miles, work myself up like that and not get any kind of issues has been great. Because I thought I would never be able to really like do any kind of high exertion type of exercising, like running or hiking, all that stuff, without worry about something happening to me. And even on the hottest days, I was able to do that. So I don't know. I think lately it's just been really rough out here, allergy-wise, because I think it's been very dry and also very just kind of like high pollen, I think. So hoping that's just the case as in terms of why that was happening, and it's just dryness. So I have my humidifier on. Hopefully that helps a little bit. But I
realized. Go ahead.
No, and that's been it for my week, pretty much.
I realized like remember I was right that day, when I had that health scare. I think it was related to my bike riding that day. And I realized it's probably my posture. Like I really need to fix my posture because like I looked into it. I'm like, because I usually have like chest tightness,
Yeah.
which is not a good thing, obviously. But I looked into it and they're like, yeah, your posture can really affect that. And so whenever I like purposely, stick my chest out and put my shoulders back, it feels so much better. So like when I'm on the bike, I could tell I'm not in a proper position. Like my body's like in a U shape.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I need to fix that for sure. And I've been thinking about like fixing it at home. Obviously, sleeping. There was a few days where I tried to sleep without a pillow, which really sucks. But I need to do it because I have really bad nerd neck. So
yeah. I used to love sleeping without the pillow. Like I love laying flat. I felt I was usually really good about that until I started having issues with this. This is prior to the surgery. And then once I had it, I had to be propped up, And this is just for the healing, so the blood doesn't go right to the back of your head or whatever.
For sure.
And then I just kind of got used to it again, being on the pillow. But I don't sleep with that many pillows anymore, so it's gotten back to it's flattening out a little bit. Yeah. But now I do kind of miss a little bit of that cushion. So that's why I have like a bunch of pillows on my bed, just in case that
I got to figure it out for sure.
But I do notice that when I'm on the bike too, it's just like I'm not like that but my bike has like the handlebars aren't straight. They kind of go like that. So you're grabbing them like this.
Okay.
But I do feel like after a long ride, it's still a lot of like full body soreness. Like I feel that tightness in the back, and I feel like this. Even in the chest, like you said, I think it's because I'm just like making sure that I'm not losing control of the bike. Mm-hmm. And another thing too, like funny, you were talking about riding around with your food. If you guys have seen my Instagram, I have my Polaroid camera mounted on the front of my bike,
Yeah.
And at this point, it's almost decorative because I haven't really taken any shots. Polaroid film is expensive, so it's kind of hard to say like I'm going to take a picture of this. It's got to be something worthwhile. And every time that I've gone out, I haven't seen something. I did see somebody, two people actually, or two instances. And this is where me as a photographer, I have to just be more open and be more relaxed to ask people. Yeah. Because normally it's in certain moments I'll be like, hey, can I take your picture? But there's that whole like balance of don't come off as too creepy versus just being ecstatic about this. And oh my God. And there was this one instance where I was riding my bike down a different road. And there was this woman, and she was like sunbathing outside. Like she was like, how certain steps come down, and then there's like a lot of platform, not platform, but like a stop, and then more steps.
Mm-hmm.
So she was right on this little platform, and she was like sitting on like two chairs, like two lounge chairs. Like she was just kind of like, let me see if I could do this here. She was just kind of like that, in two chairs, and she was like sunbathing. She had her glasses on. She was in her bikini. And I was like, that's an awesome shot because the way she was just kind of like stuck in there, she wasn't fully out. She was just kind of like, she fell into it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that's such a good photo. I should go back and ask. I'm like, no, she's going to think it's weird. Like, why do you want to take a picture of me? Like people get self-conscious, obviously, especially in a moment where you're like that. So I was going to go back and I was like, no, I can't, I don't want to be a creep about it. No, I just want to take a good picture, LA style, whatever. So I didn't do it. And then going back down the river, I saw these two guys, like these two cholo guys, and they were walking their pit, and they're just kind of walking there, just like eyeing me. And I saw them again on the river when I came back, and I'm like, because I got a really good look at them, and I was like, oh, that's like a cool photo, like especially me here on the river walk, on the bike. I'm like, oh, I should have been like, hey, can I take your picture? Because they looked like they were all being hard, or they probably were hard, I don't know, but it would have been cool to just kind of break that ice and be like, yo, let me take your picture or something like that. For sure. Because I had a dude, and this is why I like taking pictures of everyone, because it's like you never know, and especially you kind of flatter somebody when you tell them you want to take their picture regardless of who they are. And I remember taking a picture of a dude he actually came up to me in Venice, and it's on my profile. And he's just like this, he looked like this kind of like ex-gang member, but he was a rapper. And he was just kind of like, he asked me like, hey, like, are you selling photos? Because he saw me with my camera. I'm like, what? Like, yeah. He's like, could you take my photo? Like, I'll pay you to take my photo. I'm like, no, don't worry, I'll just take it for free,
Yeah.
And he was all like, all these poses and whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, thank you, and here you go. So that was pretty cool. So I wish that's one thing that I hope to do more of. I'm also reading. I'm behind. Like, I want to mention this because even though it's not only just this week, but it's an ongoing thing. I started a book challenge in the beginning of the year to read 100 books. for the whole year, and I'm like behind by 20 books now. I'm like at book 30. I was doing really well before the
It's not
pandemic
bad.
because
It's not
I was
bad.
reading a lot. Well, I mean, the system apparently knows that I'm 20 books behind. I don't know how it knows. I'm counting all kinds of books, though. It's not just like really big novels or whatever, you know. Some of them are
Yeah.
art books, some of them are photography books. But the one that I'm really reading right now, that I'm really digging, is called Design as Art by Bruno Munari. I don't know if you guys see this, right? Is it? Can you read this, or is it backwards?
Yeah. No.
Is it on both of them?
Well, it is backwards on our video. I don't know if it. No, it's
Yeah.
backwards. No,
Yeah.
it's on Skype we're good. On Instagram it looks backwards.
Oh, unfortunately, well, you guys will have to put it against a mirror to see it.
Mhm.
But it's a really good book. It's just a designer who's kind of like writes down. He basically wrote a bunch of notes on regarding on different types of design, like graphic design, industrial design, environmental design. And it's really good.
Mhm.
Oh, it is backwards. So, well, it's called Design as Art by Bruno Munari. It's really good. It's got like all these like faces on the cover.
That's cool.
Basically, he's talking about what the process is of how you can get away from making. And when he's talking about the faces, is how you can go, how you can still make a face by not really using conventional things. Like you're not drawing somebody's face, but you can still you look at it and you're like, that's a face. So he goes talking about different things like that, or how there's a whole section on the Japanese style of living and housing and the use of bamboo and just graphic designers versus artists who try to do poster design, stuff like that. It's really good. It's not boring. There's another book that I've been reading. It's kind of boring. It's more technical, but this is actually more philosophical in a way. You know, just like, you know, this is what art should be. Like there's one thing that I really like that I wanted to mention. He's like, a designer should be, you should make art like a tree makes a leaf. Like it just happens. You know, there's no design, there's no function. You know, it's designing based on its function of what it is, right? Like it's that leaf belongs to that tree, and that's how you should design. Like you shouldn't force something. You should make it a part of what it's supposed to be. And then there was another thing where he mentioned that cars are just moving sculptures because everyone's always trying to sculpt a better looking car, you know, sort of thing. So it's like, he's like, I mean, that's art because you're designing a car. But he says everyone's driving a moving sculpture, which is really cool. So cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. I don't know what to be cranky about other than stupid weather.
Yeah, it took me a bit this week because I guess I didn't have things annoy me as much as they usually do. Because I usually have plenty of things to whine about because that's what I do. But I guess yesterday there was a guy on the phone on CTA, and it happened twice this week where just people talking on the phone loudly. I don't even like talking on the phone because like when I'm on public transportation, I think it's rude. Plus, I usually can't hear the person anyway, or they can't hear me. So, but yeah, I had two fellow passengers this week that were really loud speakers when they were talking on the phone, so that sucked. And then my other thing was no fitting rooms. Like, so right now it makes sense. There's, you know, I go to Target fairly frequently, and there's other clothing stores that are open too, but all of the fitting rooms are closed because of COVID. So
really,
yeah,
that's
weird. And
it's
it's annoying because it's happened a lot this week where I bought something and it didn't fit right, and then I had to return it, and yeah,
right.
like yesterday was just a mess.
But I mean, like the stuff that you bought,
things
you could just wear in front of a mirror.
What do you mean?
Why you gotta go to a dressing room to put on a jacket?
No, it's usually like pants, like jeans, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like yesterday I bought some jeans. I just realized I don't like Target's. It's very specific. I don't like Target's slim jeans. I don't like how they look. They're too loose. I like their skinny jeans. They're not too skinny where you're like squeezing your leg. So yeah, because yesterday I literally bought a pair, went to the bathroom, put the pair of pants on, didn't like it, went and returned it right away. Bought another pair
in the
pants.
Target bathroom?
Yeah.
That's just probably worse than being in a fitting room.
Well, yeah, I mean, I make sure I'm not like stepping on the ground, like I step on my shoe and whatever. Ugh. But yeah, so I did that, but I got a pair of pants, and I realized I'm now at 32 waist, which is pretty nice. I went down one, like a 33.
Is that comfortable for you? Do people? I mean, like, I'm not gonna shame you because you're.
Oh no, I always feel weird about the bathroom thing.
No, not that. I mean the fact that you're wearing skinny jeans. I mean, like,
when I was younger, well, no, I used to wear like super tight jeans, And I think that like fucked it. That's partially why my knees are bad because of how tight the jeans were. Especially like when you're in a sitting position, you're sitting there for too long. It fucks up your knees.
Yeah, it cuts the circulation
But
off.
no, back when I worked at the movie theater when I was younger, like there were people who would make fun of me for wearing skinny jeans. But then the joke was on them because then everybody started wearing skinny jeans. Rappers started wearing skinny jeans. Like
that's true.
It became a thing. So
Yeah,
I mean, I try not to go too skinny.
Have you guys ever seen Jason? Like it's very what's the word? I can't remember. I can't think. It's deceptive when you look at him here. He's fucking massively tall, and he's also like.
I'm not that tall. I'm only 6 feet.
He's like got peg legs. It's very slim. You look bulky up here. You see the legs.
I think about this because my friend Shauna said it to me, and other people have said like I have tinier legs and like a bigger waist. So she's like, I look like an upside down triangle, which I hate. So it's like. But then again, I'm being lazy. Like I need to start like working my legs out more. Cause I used to have a lot nicer legs, like slightly bigger. So I want to get that, put more weight on with my legs, if that's even possible. I'm sure it is. Just to be more symmetrical, I guess. But
yeah.
I've
always been.
And the skinny jeans don't help, obviously. Right. It just accentuates that shape. For sure.
I don't think I ever really tried. I mean, I might have tried wearing them, and I said this looks weird. I mean, I've always been kind of like, and I always say this to people. Obviously, I don't really care of like body weight or however people are. But for me, like your own, your own body type. You know what you want to be, or how you want to be. So I've always been overweight for my frame for the most part. Not so much now, but even then, now I still consider myself still overweight in terms of where I want to be. But back in the day when I wore that stuff. I know that I didn't look good. Like, you perceptively you think you do because like I'm wearing something hip, but then as a whole, I know I didn't look good. But at the same time, nowadays I'm still much more interested in like being. It's always been like for the past, I would say for the past decade or so that I'm more interested in function versus like the style.
For sure. Yeah.
So like I want something I could really run in, like move. I'm always weird about this whole thing. I'm more like in a survivalist mentality without actually being a survivalist. Like I want to be ready in case some shit goes on and I could take off. I don't want to be like, I can't move, or like my jacket's too tight or something like that. I got to take this off. Like I want stuff that helps me in terms of getting what I want to do. So I think, and I'm gonna name drop obviously, but that's why to me Uniqlo is like my brand. Like they just like the materials that they use for everything and the style. I've always been very drawn to the Japanese aesthetic of things. Like like the shorter cuffed or shorter length inseam of pants. People always like, why are your pants so short? Like I used to have my friend make fun of me all the time like that, and I was just like, well, I don't like them dragging on my my ankles.
When I was in Catholic school, when I was in grade school, my I had to wear a school uniform, and my pants that I had were. I mean, they were terrible. I was flooding really bad, but like the priest made fun of me for my flooding pants. Like, what kind of fucking priest are you? You're making fun of a kid in school. So I've always been conscious of that. But yeah, I wear mine a little short. Like I should be wearing like a 34 length, but I do like a 32. I really like to like roll them up, especially in the summer. For sure. But yeah, I mean, as far as Uniqlo, I do like how they have like all the basics. You can kind of just put all that stuff together. But I've only bought like T-shirts from them mainly. Right. Yeah. But that place is awesome.
But maybe we'll talk about fashion some other time. All right. So you already cranky. For me, crankiness. I can't think of anything in terms of like. I think I had something that I thought of when I was driving or I was riding my bike. There was just people. Not saying. I think I already talked about that before. Somebody was just trying to. People are just kind of being assholes on the road when I'm on the bike. It's just like, this is a bike lane. Just let me chill. I will say, as an opposite contrast to being cranky, I will say, having been on my bike a little bit longer now as I'm riding it, I'm seeing more of that community in terms of like people who ride bikes. Like some guy cut me off like on another bike like right behind me, and I'm just like, dude, what the fuck, But he turned around and be like, yo, man, so sorry, or time you ride somebody like that whole thing, like when you go hiking, you see somebody else hiking, you're just like, hey, good morning, a beautiful day outside. You get that vibe. Like you're both doing the same activity, you both like doing that. And
there's a really good TikTok about that. Have you seen it?
I might have seen it. I don't know.
It's pretty good.
I think it might have. I've thought about doing something like that in the past, like how you react to different people. When you're walking around in a neighborhood. But I think I saw the one with the hiking too. But
Yeah.
I'm not on TikTok anymore. Fuck those guys. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it in terms of that.
Yeah, I was biking. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I have nothing to predict in terms of this week.
Okay. Yeah, I was biking the other day, and I did the whole, on your left. So I'm right where I went past the guy. I'm like, on your left. He's like, on your right. I mean, but he was saying it like in a joking way.
Yeah.
It was funny.
That's one thing too. Is like I wish people would do that more. Some guy came up right behind me as I was taking off. Like I was parked in the curb and I was about to pull off, and he zooms right by me, and I'm like, you could have said something. It's a lot of these guys with their high-tech bikes or their fancy helmets. I mean, I got a fancy helmet too, but no, they got the really nice, like I'm on the street and they're wearing full-on spandex and they have like a $2,000 bike, and it's like, come on, you could at least say excuse me or watch out. I'm always ringing my little bell. I'm like, bring, 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 bring. I'm sure I'm annoying the hell out of everybody, but I want everyone to know that I'm there because I'm so close to the cars, and there's a lot of people just chilling in their cars, and so you never know when they're just gonna pop out. So,
sure.
But I think I might get a better bell, like a louder one, because I've heard I've seen other ones that just go bing and just like you hear it everywhere, So I might go for one of those, because the one that I have is kind of ding, 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 like a little kid's bike. I don't know why that's on my bike, but that's the bell that I have. So, all right.
Yeah, Robert, I mean, he didn't do it publicly. He private messaged me. He's like, hey, that's my mixer. Yes, Robert, I do have your mixer. I'm going to keep it. I've had it for like 2 or 3 years.
What is it? Wait, what mixer?
No, that's where like the mic is hooked up.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he bought one for when we did a podcast, and like he would just leave it at my house because we would record there. It's been more than 2 years. It's been like fucking 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Thanks,
in terms of what we watched, my watch load was pretty low this week. I would say most of it is. I also mentioned the stuff that I watched because for you guys, maybe you haven't never seen these films. For me, a lot of them were rewatches, but it's still it's been a low volume watch week.
All right. You want me to start then?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I actually forgot to mention this last week because Avedon, you finally joined Letterboxd. Welcome to the Letterboxd community. But like that's what I usually do whenever I watch a film. I log it, and so I'll always look back on that just to remind myself what I watched this week for when we record the morning show. But yeah, last week I forgot to mention I watched a horror film called Sweetheart on Netflix. It has, I got her name here, Kiersey Clemens. She was in Easy in the lesbian storyline. So yeah, she's like the star of it. It's okay. It's like it's like was it Marooned? Was it Marooned when you're like on an island?
Yeah.
So kind of like Castaway type thing. So some type of accident happens. She ends up on this island by herself. She is there with her boyfriend, but spoilers, like the boyfriend, got hurt in the accident and like passes away pretty early. But yeah, it's just her trying to survive on the island. But then eventually she finds out there's some creature in the ocean that comes on land every night. So
that sounds kind of cool.
It is a really cool idea. They have the whole like survivalist thing, where she's learning how to build fires and stuff. Like all of that seemed kind of phony. Like it wasn't really believable.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a cool moment. Are you gonna watch it? I mean, I don't want to.
I mean, I wouldn't spoil it just for in case viewers are interested in sort of that.
There's a really cool moment where they reveal the creature. It looks silly, I think, and clearly like there's like budgetary things because whenever they do show the creature, it's always like quick cuts and like I want to see how this thing looks.
Or just there is super close-ups of just like the eye.
Yeah. It's just him like moving really quickly. I'm like, come on, I wanna see how it looks in all its glory. There is a moment in a film where they do show it, there's where it stays on the shot, and it kind of reminded me of Shape of Water a little bit, like the creature design.
Yeah.
Which that moment was cool. They're like midway through the film, some characters show up, and they're pretty terrible as far as their acting, but. Yeah, I wish the design was better for the character, and it's all right. It's worth a watch. It's like a short, 90-minute horror film. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
I will say, because you mentioned Kiersey Clemens, and
Hmm.
she's not a bad actress. She was in if you guys have seen or heard of Hearts Beat Loud, I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
It's with Ron Swanson.
Hmm.
Wait, that's not his name. Is that his name? No. Is that his name? No, that's his name on the show, right?
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman. Sorry, it's like it's become so
For
ingrained.
sure.
It's Nick Offerman and his dad is her dad, and it's like an indie film. And I watched this a long time ago. It's pretty good though. And he was in a band. I think his wife, her mom, sang together and played. And then I think his daughter, her Kiersey Clemens, is about to go off to school, to college, but she's also really good at singing and writing. So he's like he kind of wants to recreate that whole thing where like let's make music together. So they make a song together and he puts it together and they ended up putting it on the radio and it shows up on Spotify and it's like, oh, this is our song, and then they don't get super famous, they just get big. And I think it takes place in New York, and it's just like a nice heartfelt story. Like the thing is like, should you just chill and like make just do stuff with your dad, or just go to college, sort of thing. And she goes through all that stuff, but it's a good movie if you guys want
What's
to
it
check
called
it
again?
out. Hearts Beat Loud. I don't normally like the Nick Offerman in a lot of stuff, but he's actually
Uh-huh.
pretty good in that, and he's on the cover of that. One of the only I've only, like I said, I rewatched some stuff. I think we talked about this, but I watched Congo. Um,
Yeah.
it's a classic. Would you consider this a horror film, or is more like I don't know. What would you call
Yeah,
this?
I would consider it a horror film. Yeah. It
Okay,
scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
that's
So.
true. Congo is an early '90s action horror film. It
Hmm.
had a lot of famous actors back in the day. Laura Linney, Bruce Campbell was in it briefly. Dylan Walsh, who became famous in Nip Tuck. He was one of the
Okay.
doctors, the good doctor, or like the one before the other guy kind of ruins him. And Grant Heslow is his partner. Grant Heslow now he hasn't been really in a lot of movies, but
Hmm.
he's basically George Clooney's best friend, writing partner, and production partner. And yeah, I mean John Hawkes is in the very beginning. John Hawkes is more like a low key actor. He's been in a lot of. He was in Deadwood. He played Soul Star on that, and he's just in a lot of independent films. So it's like got a lot of actors, but it's just Killer Apes. They go to Congo. Oh wait, Tim Curry, of course, Tim Curry's in this. Tim Curry's awesome, doing a Romanian accent and talk like this, and
That's pretty good.
it's so horrible. And who else? Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters, basically. He's in
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. He
And The
does a
Crow.
really, yeah, in The Crow. Yeah, he does. He's a cop in The Crow. It's a detective, I think. And
Yeah.
but he does a really good, like, I'm sure they think it sucks, but I like his English colonial accent. It's really good, I think. It's very cheesy. The whole film is cheesy. There's a talking gorilla that's sign language, and she's
It's
wearing a
Amy,
power
right?
glove.
Amy is
Yeah,
the name of
Amy.
the.
Amy. She's wearing like a power glove that can talk, so it like recognizes the sign language that she's doing, and it speaks for her.
Yeah.
And they're taking her back to her where she's from, which is in the Congo, and obviously they go on this expedition to go over there. Tim Curry's character joins because he wants to find the lost city of Solomon that supposedly has like diamond mines there.
Hmm.
Laura Linney's character is going there because she also wants to find what happened to Bruce Campbell, her ex-fiance's character, went there to find the diamonds for
Okay.
some telecommunications company. And anyway, this movie's sold. I'll tell you, it's killer apes. They find killer apes there. They're really weird, mutated looking killer apes. I think it's because they did something to them when they trained.
Uh,
The people they actually do find the mines, and because the closer they got to the volcano, there was a volcano there. That's where the diamonds were producing, and they find these gorillas that are like they're white gorillas. They're completely white, and they just like
mhm.
they're killer ones. They just go off and they just like fucking. I mean, if they made that movie now, it'd be even more gruesome, right? Because they would probably
Yeah.
show people. They would show the crushing of skulls and stuff. Because that's the stuff they did, and that's why they
Yeah.
look so ugly. Like he said, that scared the shit out of me when I was younger.
For
And
sure.
I don't know. That's why I like it. It's a Michael Crichton book. Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park. I think he also wrote Sphere. He wrote a
Mhm.
lot of those kind of early on sci-fi films and books. I think he also did Westworld. Yeah. So he wrote all that stuff, and this is, to me, I like this movie. I think it's got like a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes, but maybe it's guilty. I had it.
Yeah.
I think that's the only horror movie that I saw this week.
I gotta revisit that. So yeah, I had a couple rewatches. I'll get into one right now. I watched So like there's this line that I always think about, and I always forget what movie it's from. I still need to verify what movie it's from. I think I know now, but I'll report back next week. But the line is, "Don't fucking tell me to relax." That's just the line.
That's it.
That's the line. So I put on I Know What You Did Last Summer because I thought Ryan Phillippe, whatever. How do you say his name?
Then how do you Ryan?
I
Philippe?
think it's
I think
Ryan
it's
Phillippe. Philippe?
No, I think it's Philippe.
I don't know. Anyway, I put that on because I thought it was his character because he plays like a really good asshole, and I know he did last summer. So I watched that movie. I do like it a lot, obviously, because like that art that I got made of the different VHS tapes that did make the cut. Just because it was an important film.
Yeah, early 90s.
It was an important horror film, horror slasher film. Came out like the year after Scream. At that time, I thought it was better than Scream. I'm incredibly wrong about that. Like, Scream is so much better, but really like the movie. It has a bunch of plot holes. I think the cast is really strong. I still really like Michelle Gellar's kind of like death chase scene is really. I think it's iconic. Like it's a really good scene. The only part that I was weird about the movie because like obviously it's about this group of teens who are just they just graduated. They go to the beach just to hang out, have sex, I guess.
Yeah.
And actually, the characters, Kevin Williamson did the script. Like the characters are not like dumb characters. Like they're actually I find them well written. And they're just not like ditzy characters that are just there to die. Like they actually have some depth to them. But yeah, like when it happens, they run over this guy. And they decide to dump the body because, they don't want to sacrifice their futures, by getting charged for manslaughter or whatnot. And obviously Jennifer Love Hewitt is like the goody two shoes of the group, the one who's super smart. Like she is not having it. She doesn't want to dump the body, but she eventually goes along with it. But then, the moment when they're going to dump the body, the guy comes. They realize the guy's not dead because he gets up, and he ends up fighting with like. Yeah, he's kind of tussling with Ryan. But yeah, so Ryan, it comes alive and he throws him into the lake or whatever. So like Jennifer Love Hewitt is opposed to them doing this, but then realizing the guy is possibly still alive and like she doesn't say anything. Like they throw him into the lake. Ryan Phillip goes into the lake to get because what is her name? Wins like some pageant. Michelle Gellar wins a pageant, and her crown gets lost. So he goes to retrieve it, and then they just leave the guy there for dead. I mean, obviously, if they try to go to the hospital at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but it's
the
like
dude was
you
already
already
trying to fight him.
Yeah. So now you like literally murdered somebody because you just left them
for sure.
dead,
yeah.
Which is ridiculous. But
I was gonna say, and this is funny because I haven't seen this other film. This other film is supposed to be really good too. It's an Irish film. It's not a horror film, but it's almost beat for beat, almost exactly like what you're saying. It's called What Richard Did. It's like an early 2000s film, and it's basically the same thing. Like he's got a good future. They go out to party, and some shit happens, and it's like it just kind of railroads and kind of ruins the whole community in the sense of what happened. I think it's I haven't seen it. Like I said, I was watching the trailer earlier, and I think something happens. They end up killing somebody or somebody dies. And but it's interesting because you're still taking the same premise, but it's not a horror film, right? Obviously, the person who died doesn't come back. It's more about like how this is affecting their lives, like you said, right? Like you're ruining your future, and this comes out to them, and it does ruin their future or whatever, that sort of thing. So it's an interesting how you could take that same formula or that same theme and then just change the everything around it, right? So it's not becoming like it could still become like there's been comedy movies where that sort of thing happens too, and someone comes back and it's just like a stupid parody of a horror film or something. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
What else I saw today? I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't write a list. So now I'm like trying to pull it out of my head. There was a huge sale like I showed off on my Instagram, so I bought a ton of movies. A lot of stuff that I've already seen, of course. Like I got Happy Gilmore. It's just probably Sandler still one of his best. Like post. I don't know if that was post SNL or during the time he was in SNL. Obviously, Billy Madison is kind of like on par with that. Everything else is just below it. So that one's a really good one. I watched it and I just cracked up like I can't believe this is still funny, like just still laughing at him being the character he's always been on SNL. And I also got A couple other. So I want to say this really quick before we go any further. We were planning on doing a director's series, a director's spotlight series, where we're going to highlight different directors and their films, like their filmography, and just kind of talk about their films. And luckily, or I would say serendipitously, this week, a couple of Steven Soderbergh's films were on sale. I'm a big fan of his too. Yeah, and Out of Sight was on sale, so I bought Out of Sight, which is a classic. And George Clooney, I have a man crush on George Clooney. George Clooney is awesome. So the Ocean's 11 films, all that stuff, I love those films. And Logan Lucky. Logan Lucky's actually Soderbergh's last film that he made, which is kind of pretty much like an Ocean's 11. They even make fun of it. It's kind of meta because in the film, and I rewatched it last night because it's so good. Obviously because I bought it. But they mention in the film, they say it's like, oh, it's like after the robbery happened, they're like, it's like Ocean 7-11, you know? And I was like, that's so funny because it's true, because it's obviously it takes place in rural West Virginia and all that stuff. So it's like a lot of hillbillies and stuff like that. The acting is great in this movie. So if you guys haven't seen it, wondering what it is about, it's got Channing Tatum, Adam Driver as brothers, as the Logan brothers. Yeah. I think
Daniel Craig's in it.
Daniel Craig's in it as well. Yeah. And a bunch of other characters, that big names, but they were barely in it. Catherine Waterstone, Sebastian Stan, which is like barely in it. I think Seth MacFarlane's also in it. So, but they're like really small roles. Hilary Swank, Dwight Yoakam, which is a classic character or a classic character actor.
Yeah, he's in Sling Blade, right?
I think so. But it's one of my favorite parts of him is in Wedding Crashers in the beginning. But anyway, it's a really good heist movie. It's really well thought out. It's really well played, beautifully acted and directed, I think. So it's a good movie. If you haven't seen it.
Did you see Unsane, the Soderbergh film that he like shot on an iPhone?
Oh, right. No, because I thought that was stupid, but
it was really good. It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's in Canopy, so I'll have to watch it. I haven't seen it. It's with Claire Foy, right, from the Crown.
Yeah, and Joshua Leonard, who was in the Blair Witch Project, he's in it too, because he's the ex who like shows up.
Who keeps popping up.
Yeah, the movie's basically about a girl who, she goes to the doctor and kind of, mistakenly says too much about like her mental state, and so she ends up being put in a mental institution. Yeah, admitted. Mm-hmm. And then her ex-boyfriend, who was like, this crazy stalker, ends up showing up working there. So it's like you don't know if she's imagining this or if he's actually somehow found her and is now working, and trying to drive her crazy. So it's really good. It's really effective.
There's a couple. I mean, like there's still a lot of films and a lot of these directors that I haven't seen. So I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen. I'm ashamed to admit it. I never got to watch The Girlfriend Project, or The Girlfriend Experiment.
Yeah, with Sasha Grey.
Yeah, with Sasha Grey, and then they made a TV series out of that too. Yeah. But I do want to see those because, like I said, I'm a big fan of his stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, I watched LA 92, which is a documentary on Netflix. Came out in 2017. This is a really hard movie to watch.
It's about the right.
Yeah, it's about the Rodney King beating and trial and kind of like the aftermath of that. The movie does start off like paralleling that with, the civil rights movement in the 60s. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it gets into the Rodney King beating. I was pretty young when this happened. I vaguely recall, but I don't really remember watching this video. So obviously they showed a video and it's awful. Mm-hmm. It's officers just like taking their turn beating the shit out of this guy. And then ultimately they got off for it. How? I don't know. Like there's the video. I mean, I guess, what's happening now, like that, it took us seeing that video in order to actually get, the guys in Georgia charged for the stuff. But it's crazy that he got, that the officers who did it got off. So,
yeah,
it shows all this through like archival footage. Like it's not really, I mean, there is some like talking heads in it, but not really. Yeah, so of course they get into the protests that happened after the verdict came out, and the riots that happened, and they have that footage where like there were some streets where like people were just driving down the street and they were pulling white dudes out of cars and just beating the shit out of them, and they have like, actual like handheld footage of like them getting beat up or like their bloody bodies, and like all that stuff is like super hard to watch. But what made it infuriating is like there was a moment in the film where like it's just a shot of this black man's face, and you could just tell he's like helpless about what happened. Like, this trial happens, and for some way in hell, like these guys aren't charged for it, and just kind of that what is the word I'm looking for? Helplessness, of like, what do we have to do to get justice in these instances? And it was I was fucking bawling but it's really good documentary. Really powerful, obviously very timely with what's going on now, and it just sucks that, like, I mean, and this is from someone who didn't even, who isn't even dealing with that type of oppression, so I can only imagine, for what black people are going through. But just the fact that like all this that is happening, it's repeated itself over and over again throughout this country's history. So really, highly recommend it.
It's crazy, right? Because I mean, like, even from such a long time ago, and like even now, like people like to show like the fact that like, oh, George Floyd's attackers and murderers are finally convicted, right? But it's just like, and then like the media and everyone else wants to feel like, are you happy? And it's like, dude, what about like Breonna Taylor or all these other motherfuckers who like are still free? Or like right now, most recently that I think Robert Fuller, who was found hanging in front of like the city hall. Like lynchings are happening now. It's just like it's like I keep saying, like, it's like with all this stuff, it's like it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, and it's not helping that our administration is pretty much putting gasoline on the fire, right? Like Trump is moving forward to like do an actual rally in those areas where had like massive tragedies happening and all this stuff, or the fact that like the KKK is still like allowed to roam free and do whatever they want. And those, I mean, it's kind of crazy because you look at it, it's like there's still that huge portion of, and that's not even in southern states or whatever, right? Because I mean, that Robert Fuller thing happened here in California, in Palmdale, which is like just like an hour away or something. So it's like there's nowhere you can be where you can feel like you're completely free, almost, And then I've always had fears, like when I'm driving through the country and I'm like, I don't want to stop here because this place looks like it's an all-white community, and I like make sure you have gas before you end up going through these small places. And we talked about doing an episode about this sort of thing too, like the just social injustice and stuff that we've had to go through. Because I personally have a lot of stories, and I've been around other people, like I've had friends who have to deal with like a lot of this stuff too. So yeah, but I mean, like I saw that movie on there, and I thought I should probably check it out. This is sometimes it's kind of hard to watch a lot of these things compared to what's happening already, and you're outside. You're like one way, like that's happening. To want to put that on and watch that, like that takes a lot to do.
Yeah, so. It's a hard watch, but still recommend it.
For sure. I mean, it's good for people to be informed so they understand that it's not just isolated incident, that it's just happening today. Like this has never happened before, or like racism doesn't exist. It's just a few bad apples, like they keep fucking saying.
Yeah. And like, who's to say like this is, like depending on the outcome of some of these trials, like that could happen all over again. And I feel like, I'm just kind of talking on my ass, and maybe I'm not sure what's ultimately is going to happen, with the 4 officers that were charged in George Floyd's case. But I feel like maybe the justice system will be sure to deliver some type of punishment here, because they know what the outcome be if they end up just getting free. So it's like they might do that just to appease the people rather than do it because it's the right thing to do, right?
Right. And then behind our backs probably overturn it or something like that, or they'll be the example that just show off, and then everyone else will just kind of be slowly let go. It's like they say, like I had a friend right now who was at the protest, and she was saying like all the media left as soon as they realized that nothing was happening. Like, oh, the protesters were behaving and the cops weren't doing anything, so we're leaving because there's no news here. And then there's some shit did happen. Like these guys are pulling guns on the people. They're saying, get on the sidewalk. And they're like, whoa, chill out. Like, we're not doing anything. We're just walking, So it's like, yeah, it's the media doesn't help. They only want to show whatever they want to show to help their ratings and stuff in the end. So I said, get informed, find real news sites, like the good stuff. Don't just follow like the Foxes and the NBCs and all this stuff. There's good, real reporting happening, but most of it's online where you have to read it.
Yeah, I've been listening to, I forgot what it's called though, Code something. It's an NPR podcast. That's really good. I might pause the video for a second because I really want to know what that is. Okay. Yeah, it's called Code Switch. It's an NPR podcast. Really bite-sized, like half-hour episodes, but yeah, really good. Thank you, Christina.
You could have asked them. But the last film that I saw, on the lighter note, and this is, if you guys have seen yesterday, like I got myself into a bath. Got some ice cream and some cookies. I don't know why. I felt like that's what I just needed. Like I wouldn't say that I had like a horrible week or anything like that. That I just I just need to decompress. My body was hurting from the bike ride, so I said I really need a good soak. So I decided to take a bath, and then I just said I really want some ice cream now and some cookies. So I went all out. It's like they say, was it self-love, whatever? Like taking care of yourself, sort of thing. Self-care. Self-love's the other thing. And then I watched Call of the Wild, which is the Jack London book, Harrison Ford film with I was to say robot dog. It's not a robot dog. It's a CGI dog, which is completely off-putting. Obviously, we can't do things with animals anymore. Unfortunately, that veil has been pulled. It's horrible to work with animals, and not that they're terrible. It's just like the conditions that they have to go through.
For sure.
Could make a lot of these films. But the movie itself is very
not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, it's just, I would say it's funny in the sense that we were so used to that, right? I grew up with Benji and Homeward Bound and whatever. All those films are awesome. They're still cool, but it's like, God, I hope those animals are okay. Now I'm thinking about it. But back then, I not to say I didn't care. I just thought they were like living free or whatever.
Well, yeah, they obviously they're not showing you that. They're keeping that from you. But yeah, that stuff does get out eventually.
But it's pretty much still like a kind of very. Is it a Disney film? I think it's a Disney film. I don't remember if this is a Disney film, but it's a really well.
I don't know.
I don't remember. That's funny how you don't tell it. The whole film apparently is not even shot on location. It's all digital. And digital, I'm not saying like the wilderness and all that is fake. I'm sure they took matte scenery and video clips of actual places, like stock footage of being in Alaska or the Yukon or any of that stuff. And then just kind of had fake sets, which part of me, like, I would hate to make that kind of movie. I want, like, if I was an actor, I want to be out there. And in certain places, obviously, I might take that back if it's like in the fucking middle of the desert in Egypt or something. But but it still looked really good, and the characters are great. They're fun. It's based off of, it's a children's book, right? It's not like a super heady book or story. I mean, this book came out like 1909 or something like that. That's how old this story is, which is insane. I wish, one thing that I kept thinking about is like, because I remember reading Call of the Wild when I was a kid, but I don't remember the story that much. So when I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't think this really happened in the book, because in the book it's really just about Buck. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know. I wonder if there's any footage about, not footage because that's so old, or like interviews of Jack London, like, why did you write this book? Was an influence? He was out there. I think he was actually out there in the Yukon when that was happening. So, but it's good. It's a like I said, it's a feel good movie. It's cool. Like, it's just all about Buck becoming his own. I can't say his own man, his own dog, his own. Coming into himself, I guess, as a dog, like as a wild animal. Like, he hears the call of the wild as he goes out. There's this parts where he keeps seeing this like large black wolf. At first I was like, oh shit, there's wolves, but it's not. It's like the spirit, like of the wild is basically calling him out. Like, you don't deserve to be living with the humans and all these people. You just can, you should be out here. Like, get up, you can do it, basically. So that's really cool. Every time I would see that black wolf, it reminded me of Fantastic Mr. Fox, the Wes Anderson film.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
When they see him back there, and when I saw him pop out, and he's just like looking at Buck, I'm just like, yeah. So, but yeah, it's a good watch. I mean, like, I think it's geared towards kids, but Harrison Ford is really good in it. You know, it's kind of weird. Like, what is he doing in this movie? But who cares? Like, he's playing his old gruff self, like, whoa, what are you doing? Sort of thing. And it's like, I like it. I like Harrison Ford.
I've seen that, like, when I was going to the movie theaters when that was a thing. I would see the fucking trailer for every movie I saw. I would see the Call of the Wild trailer. So.
Oh yeah. I know. Every time I saw it, I was like, I want to see this movie. Can't wait to see this movie because I'm like, and
I
the
felt
thing is,
the
like,
opposite, but
yeah, I get it. No,
I'm sure it's like a nice feel good movie. I just couldn't get over the CGI dog, but
yeah,
that's the only thing that really bothered me about it.
The funny thing is though, there's other dogs in this, and they all look way more real than Buck. Like they clearly try to make Buck more of a character, obviously. Like the eyes, it's the eyes. You know, they just kind of make it more cartoony. Yeah. But all the other dogs, they're CGI dogs too, for the most part, and they all look like dogs. Like I can't tell sometimes, like, is that a computer dog or is that a real dog? You know, and they look really good. The wolf obviously looks fake in a sense, like because it's a giant wolf. But so yeah, it's kind of weird that the main character dog ends up not looking as real as every other animal in there. Yeah. But and Harrison Ford isn't in the film the entire thing. He narrates the story, and it's, you know, the other characters are very unique and funny looking. Not funny looking. It's just like, obviously, if you saw, it's like when you watch like a really good Western film and then you watch Deadwood and you see like, oh man, shit didn't look as good as this movie made it look. You know what I mean? Like they didn't dress all colorful. They're all dirty and no one takes
not as like glamorized or whatnot.
Yeah. Everyone looks so clean in this. You know, everyone like, you know, you're out in the wild. There's no chance of you doing your laundry every week. But no, it's still good. You know, like I said, I needed a feel good watch. I'm glad that I bought it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it. I mean, I also picked up Get Out, because Get Out is such a good film, and I'm like, I don't know why I don't have this film yet. And my parents, my dad was asking about it. It's like, is that movie good? I'm like, yeah, watch it. You should watch it. It's so weird because I'm still learning so much about my parents in terms of like what they're into, or like I kind of know. I mean, like my mom always surprises me. Her favorite film is the Alien series. Like she loves Aliens and she loves Predator. Like those are her things. Like anything, even if they're bad now, like, you know, like the latest films, she'll still watch them. Like she still likes them, but her favorite is still Alien. Like, which is kind of weird. Like I don't understand why you like. I'm it's cool. And then for the longest time, I don't think she's doing this anymore. But I think now I understand where I get my whole what do you call it? I just had the word. You know how we talked about how we end up rewatching stuff, and I kind of have like this thing where I just end up watching the same thing over and over again, like ad nauseum, like over and over, like right after it's done. My mom watches Logan, the last Wolverine film. Like she watched it for like every day. Like she would just keep popping up. I was just like, Ma, you know, there's other Wolverine films, right? I have the second one on there. It's pretty good. And she's like, oh yeah, like no, but Logan, that one's good. Like that's really good. And it's not like, and I think I mentioned this before, like it's not about like she's in love with Hugh Jackman or anything like that. She's never been like that. I mean, if anybody, she loves Harrison Ford. She loves Harrison Ford and everything. But yeah, she just loves to watch Logan. And then so she's into that. And then my dad he's always been the type, when I was living at home, they never really cared to watch any of the films that I would get, like foreign films or anything like that. He just wanted action stuff, you know, like Rambo and Schwarzenegger, things like that. That's all he was ever into. Or at least, I hate to say this, but I feel like that was the only thing like his capacity to like process, you know, like to care about. But then now, I remember buying these Criterion Collection films on iTunes. They're Jacques Tati. He was very famous for doing Mon Uncle, My Uncle. He did a bunch. It's like a very early-esque Mr. Magoo type character, but from France. He played, directed, and wrote these stories, and they're really good. They're very minimal in talking, and he's just kind of bumbling around. They're really good stories, and he was like watching, and I was like, and he watched the film, and he's like, this movie was so weird. It's like that French man, and he's just kind of walking around and doing stuff, and it's like they don't really talk, and I'm like, you watched it, like the whole thing? It's like, yeah, it was pretty funny. I was like, holy shit, like I don't think that was a film like you would ever watch. Like if I put it in front of you, you'd probably get bored and leave. Like, yeah, I was watching it. And then like yesterday he tells me, oh yeah, we were watching some films, because I mean I share with them my iTunes account so they could see all the films that I'm buying. And so I put a lot of stuff I buy because I know they'll like, but I also want in my collection. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we just watched all the what's the Ted Bundy movies." And I'm like, "Movies?" And they said like, "Yeah, we watched the Ted tapes or the Ted Bundy tapes, and then we watched the other one. What is that? The Extremely Violent and the one with
Extremely Vile. Yeah.
I haven't even watched that movie yet. I haven't watched any of them.
It's fine. It's fine.
I don't like watching that kind of stuff, like what do you call it, true crime shit.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, we watched it. It was really interesting and how that stuff is because he watched the documentary. I didn't watch that, and I was like, what the hell? You watched that? It's like, jeez. So I'm like, and then he's asking me how's Get Out. I'm like, yes. If you can watch that shit, you can watch Get Out. You know.
So speaking of Get Out, I actually watched it this week. I watched it the other day.
Yeah, it's on
there. Christina hadn't seen it, so like I rented it on Amazon, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I've seen it quite a bit. You know, I liked it the first time I saw it. Liked it even more the second or third time I saw it. It was probably like my fourth or fifth watch. Yeah, this movie's perfect.
What about Christina? Did you like it? I know I think she's still on. But
she gave it 5 stars as well as me. So yeah, and like so yeah, watched that, and I had heard about an alternate ending. So like when I pulled up.
Is it on there? I mean, I had the DVD now, but I haven't watched that.
Yeah, I pulled up at the end of the credits, they have the alternate ending, which I heard about it. I guess I had heard negative things about it, which kind of colored my feelings. But you know, spoilers, if you've seen Get Out, at the end of the film, you know, where he's going to like
he doesn't get out.
Well, when he's going to kill his girlfriend, like a cop shows up, so you think it's just going to be a police officer. But ends up being his friend, the TSA agent, which I like how they don't even explain how he knew where he was. He's like, hey, how did you find me? He's like, because I'm fucking TSA, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're on our ship. But, you know, so, like, the original ending was police officers. Then he did go to jail, and you know, it flash forwards to 6 months later, and he's still in jail. So obviously much more of a downer ending. I think they would have both worked, but I think I like so much like that moment in the film where like the car shows up, and so your mind automatically goes to like, oh shit, this is gonna go south, this is gonna go bad. There's a black guy standing over a white woman, and you know he's bloody. So I think there's enough just to put that.
I think they both would have worked. I like both.
Yeah,
of
them. Yeah. I just think that the ending they went with is like more subtle, but
for sure.
Like I said, I think either one would have worked.
It reminds me of
one would have left you with a really shitty feeling in the end.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
It reminds me very much of The Mist, which is one of my favorites. Films.
I love that movie.
At the end, there's an alternate ending where, if you remember, they do finally get out, and like the whole world is kind of fucked up in a way, right? Because all these dimensional portals had opened, and so he ends up. The dude, what's his name? Thomas Jane. He ends up killing everybody in the car, including his own son or the kid. I don't know if it's his son, right?
It's his son, yeah.
Yeah, it's his own son. He kills his own son. And moments later, the fucking army shows up, and he's just like, oh, like that's a fucked up ending.
For sure.
For that to happen. So I really like the movie. The black and white version of it too is really cool. But
yeah, I've seen the black and white. I love that movie so much. It's good. So good.
Yeah, it's really good.
I read the short story too, but I definitely thought it's a case where the movie was better. Frank Darabont, right? Did that?
Yeah, Frank Darabont.
Yeah.
The guy from I was thinking until people know Frank Darabont films. You know, so I don't know. We could talk about him too, but that's pretty much it for my watching.
So I'll just rattle off two. They're also rewatches. I watched Friday the 13th Part 6. It's my favorite Friday the 13th film. You know, if you have you seen any of the franchise at all? What was that?
Like this guy watches a lot of horror movies.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot this week.
It's his favorite genre.
Yeah, I'm mixing that with political films.
I think I watched the first one, and this was like literally back in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, because part four is pretty. It's pretty. You know, it's a cult classic for among horror fans. That's the one with Corey Feldman, and he's in part 5 as well. And so part 6 is, like he went to a mental institution because of what happened, and so it's a grown-up version of his character. The character's name is Tommy Jarvis. It's like the movie opens up with them going to the cemetery, just because he wants to make sure Jason's buried.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he he uncovers his grave and he finds Jason all fucking maggot filled and decides to rip a piece off of a fucking metal gate and just starts fucking stabbing him with it. Of course, it starts raining and lightning strikes the stake that's in Jason's chest and resuscitates, or like brings him back to life, basically.
Right. The Frankenstein move.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a fun movie.
I'll have to check it
really
out.
Good. It's my favorite Friday film, but I still only gave it like a 3.5 because they can only be so good. But
right.
I've been wanting to revisit 7 because that's the first one with Kane Hodder. So I definitely want to check that out. I'll probably talk about that next week. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, a lot of these films back in the day, I didn't really get into because, first of all, I want to say they were kind of scary. When I was a kid, my parents always were just like, you're not gonna watch that or whatever. Even they didn't watch these films. I will say, like, I think still to this day, my favorite film is Night of the Comet, Night of the Comet, because I just love that film. It's more like, it's not like a horror. It is a horror film because it's like zombies or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
Are you thinking, I know there's Night of the Comic. Are you thinking Night of the Creeps, maybe?
No, I like Night of the Creeps also.
Okay. I've never seen Night of the Comet.
Night of the Comet is awesome because it's 2 female leads. It's 2 sisters that take on the apocalypse. I love that movie so much. Yeah, maybe because I forgot the actress's name, and she was so hot too. But no, it's really good, and it takes place in LA too. And Night of the Creeps I do like a lot as well. So those were my favorites. I mean, but I also grew up watching Puppet Master. I did get to watch Puppet Master. The ones that really freaked me out to the point where I kind of didn't want to watch horror movies forever was kind of like Ghoulies, especially when you start seeing them coming out of the toilet. Freaked me out. Some people were afraid of the sharks coming out of the toilet. I was afraid of those things coming out of the toilet. And then Critters. Critters always fucking freaked me out.
Critters was creepy. I remember liking that when I was a kid. I haven't revisited it.
So yeah, stuff like that. I think I always ended up watching a lot of more of like the weird sci-fi creature-esque horror stuff versus the manic killer horror films. You know what I mean? So I never really got to see like all the Halloweens, all Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, like all those. I
think you would like those more because like those are known for being a lot more creative, obviously. Mm-hmm. So they help a lot. I see
some of the Freddy ones when they got really jokey. Like the stuff he's in a video game or he's playing a video game and he's bouncing the kid through. Yeah, or he's in a comic. Yeah, so some of that stuff was really jokey. I did watch the latest one that they released that was like uninspired Nightmare. Remember that one?
You want the one with Jackie Earle Haley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like whatever.
It was fine.
Yeah. There's like nothing new creatively with that. I mean, there were some parts that were good, but overall, it was like.
Well, they lean more like into the pedophile angle for sure with that movie.
They try to make it more, I guess, realistic in that sense. But.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I did that. I mean, actually, but I'll probably.
Oh yeah, what was the last one? Sorry. Yeah, what was the last one?
Well, I mean, I'll talk about it next week, but there's a documentary on Shudder called Scream Queen. So I guess it's about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which I don't remember that one. I think I grew up like on 3, 4, and 5 for the Nightmare films. But I guess part 2 had a guy who had very feminine qualities to him, and he screamed like a girl, whatever. So like there's a documentary about that film and kind of like how it's homoerotic, I guess, one of the first of its kind. So it's like really important horror film like for the gay community.
Oh, cool.
So I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool, but I don't remember the film. So I want to watch the movie first and then watch the documentary.
For sure.
But the last film I saw, Christina threw it on, Jennifer's Body. Which I thought it was fine the first time I saw it. I still think it's fine.
That's also Diablo Cody? Or no?
That's Diablo Cody, Megan Fox, Amanda Seyfried. I really like their relationship. I thought Megan Fox was pretty good in it. I wished like the horror elements, because it's about this girl who, they go to a concert and there's this indie band, which I thought was such a cool idea. There's an indie band who wants to make it big, so they have to do like a satanic ritual, like a sacrifice. So they go to sacrifice Megan Fox, who they think is a virgin, but she's not. So I mean,
so she gets possessed by that demon.
Yeah, and ultimately they still get what they want. But yeah, she gets possessed by it and just, lures, young men and kills them or whatnot. So, I wish some of the horror stuff was better. And it's very tongue in cheek. It's very campy, especially with Diablo Cody's writing.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
So there's a lot of silliness there, and so I guess it's a matter of like whether or not that works for you. And for me, it didn't. Like it every time some stupid dialogue happened, like it kind of just made me cringe. But then at the same point, like I understand what it's going for, and so I think maybe like on rewatches, like the movie might grow on me.
Yeah, no, I think it's better than most films of that time where they were just being really jokey. Like this is funny in the sense like situational, like oh my god, that's that is funny, but it's not funny in like they did a horrible job that you're laughing at how bad it is. It's more like that's because it's kind of like a nervous laughter type thing. I liked it. I was surprised that it was Cody because normally I don't really like her stuff. I mean,
I want to rewatch Juno. I remember liking Juno a lot. Some people say it doesn't age as well, but I don't hate her necessarily. It's just like for this film, it didn't really work for me.
I want to say too that I do like Megan Fox because we all, I think, I'm gonna say grew up because she's not that old, but I mean, there's always been this kind of like perception that she's just not a good actress. She's just someone not to look at. Based off the early stuff she did, but after seeing this, like, okay, I would say she could act, like she has more depth to her in terms of like, like not, instead of just looking hot. And then there's other films beyond that she was pretty good in as well. Like she kind of pokes fun at a lot of that stuff. So I think it was a good movie for her, like in a way, because it was like getting into like, it's a lot for a person who's banked so much on their looks to be able to take it and turn into that. Like just like you're gonna be looking like this and you get fucked up and beat up and wearing all this makeup, and it's like she was in it and she did it. So I liked it. Yeah. And I think it's based off of another story. I don't know if it is or not. I can't remember. Or maybe it's just an original story. I can't remember.
Yeah. But young Neil's in it. From Scott Pilgrim.
Jimmy Simmons or something Simmons. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I was trying to, Christina, who's watching, she refused to watch a Drake video, because have you ever seen a Drake video for Just Hold On, We're Going Home? So it's kind of like a Scarface-esque thing. There's but young Neil's in it, but he's obviously much older. It's like a little short film. I like the song. I don't like Drake either, but it's a really cool video. And young Neil's in it, so
that's funny.
Anyway. Cool. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. In terms of what we watched, I mean, I definitely want to plan. Like, I still have a bunch of stuff to watch on Canopy. I might have already seen something there that I forgot to list today, but I'll have to double check. A lot of times I just get a little bit busy, and I'm like, no, I really want to sit down and pay attention to this movie or this film, so I'm not going to watch it yet. So that's why I end up doing a lot of rewatches. I do, like Jason mentioned earlier, I'm on Letterboxd now. If you don't know what that is, it's like this cool little, like you mentioned it before, I think last week too. It's just like you just kind of log in all the films you've been watching. You can either review them or just say you've seen it and this is what your rating is. Yeah. And I've been really liking it. I like the fact that I can write whatever I want in there. I don't have to write a full review. It's kind of more personal thing. Like, this is what I thought about it. Sometimes I don't even really talk about it. I just say, like, in terms of 90s comedies, it's better than most. And that's it. Stuff like that. And do you pay for it or do you just use a free version?
I use a free version. I'm thinking of doing.
I was thinking about doing the paying one now. It's like, first of all, I hate ads, and this is like all over the place. But I also think that the features that they offer, I think it's like $18 a month. So even if they do raise it eventually to $20, I don't mind it. If I'm
and there's like a yearly cost too. If you want to do that.
Yeah, that's the annual cost. So I really dig it. So if you guys want to check it out, follow us on there. You can't add friends or anything like that. You just follow each other. Sort of thing. I think I'm still just I think I'm hip_arcade. I can't remember. And
which is cool because like when you have followed somebody, like when you go to log a film, it's cool because when you go to the page, it'll
say that this person watched it.
Yeah, it's like if someone who's your friends, like you'll be able to see what their rating is, which is pretty neat. Speaking of because like I do want to pay for the paid version because I want to change my username.
I was gonna say, can you do that? Because now I'm like, I don't know if I should use this one.
If you pay, you could change it. But no, I logged on to PSN, PlayStation Network, last night because they finally did it where you could change your name, which might affect games. I don't really care about that, but I realized I did take advantage of it, and I got Bully Decide on there. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I totally forgot I did that.
I think you were the one who always told me I should change mine, I think, right?
What was yours?
Mine's Digital Doom.
That's not bad.
I think you back then you were like, you should really change it to Avatar Arcade or something like that.
I mean, yeah.
I think. Yeah, you're right. I should, but I kind of like Digital Doom because it kind of gives off this vibe of like being like this badass that plays online. I'm not good at games anymore. I don't know if I ever really was. But when you see Digital Doom, you're like, holy shit, this guy's gonna be bad. I'm not, but at least you get that feeling. So that's why I like Digital Doom. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, gamers. For anyone who actually plays the game, obviously recently we just did a I would say we did a podcast. We didn't.
I mean, it is a. What do you have against the term podcast?
Because when you say podcast, it's like a whole different theme series. You know, like we did a podcast on food. Like the whole podcast is dedicated. All the episodes are dedicated to that podcast. You know, that in that podcast. So I mean episode. I keep messing that up. So we did an episode.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So we did an episode on the latest PlayStation 5 reveal. We knew it was coming out, but they did a full announcement on it. So we just did our reactions to it. So for those of you guys who actually play video games or whatever and are interested in seeing what they did, obviously watch the PlayStation event. It's like an hour and a half or something, right? It's like pretty long. Yeah. And then you could also watch our reactions to it as we were talking. Did we do that live? We did that live? No, we didn't do it live.
No, we did it that night.
Yeah, we still recorded.
I mean, we did the live stream. So if you follow us on Instagram, if you want to see it on there, you can, or you could just pull up the YouTube video of it.
Video that we have that we uploaded afterwards. But yeah, we talked about the games and that stuff too. So anyway, so Letterboxd, Canopy, it's a lot of cool stuff that we're using to watch our films. Netflix, all the films that we're talking about are available on one of these streaming services, right? Pretty much. I think we should also mention that too, in case. I mean, like a lot of the stuff that I watch, I just buy straight off of iTunes. I just basically I scour through OfferUp and Craigslist or whatever to see people selling digital codes. So a lot of people don't like digital. I don't really play DVDs anymore, so I just say, can I buy this from you for like $3, $5? For the most part, it's been like $5. New releases like $8 or something like that, which is still pretty good for a $20 movie, you know? So that's what I do. That's how I get my stuff. But yeah, as always, you can catch us up on YouTube, on iTunes as well. As we're mentioning iTunes, the podcast is on iTunes. We mentioned in the beginning of the stories. You know where to follow us. Hip Arcade, hip_arcade. Check out the website where we have a bunch of cool game-related stuff. As always, you can check out Jason at Boy Decide. I don't know what else to say. It's a beautiful day out here. Hopefully it's a beautiful day where you're at, whether it's morning or day. Enjoy your Sunday, and thank you for watching. Keep doing what you do, and do more of it. Oh my goodness. I forgot to say.
There you go. You got it. You got it out.
See you guys next time.
Bye, guys.